The SBA came out on January 5th of this year, 2024, with an announcement, press release. Small Business Administration announces further action to help PPP and COVID idle borrowers. So, I wanted to have you on to talk about this in more detail. You are actually working with clients of ours who are in these situations. And so, if you could break down what is the point of this press release, what are the main points and key takeaways?
Well, there are still a lot of businesses that are suffering. They haven't been able to recover totally from after the pandemic. So the SBA is going to do a hardship allowance for businesses to lower their payments for 6 months. And again, it's up to the SBA to make that decision whether or not they can do that. Also to help with businesses that did not get fully forgiven for PPP if they were eligible.
Yeah, that's amazing. One of the things that I saw in the press release that I was super happy to see was that there's a 6-month period, but in my head when I first heard that, and I was like, okay, so you turn the spigot down for 6 months and then it just shoots right back up to normal. But they talk about there's like a progression plan, right? Where like you don't go straight back to your full payment. There's like a walkthrough
Right.
to get you back up.
And again, it's up to the SBA to make that decision.
Mm.
And as far as PPP, in the beginning, the rules were a little bit different, and then they were changed. So in order to be eligible for PPP, you have to have your employees on the payroll. They can't be 1099, and you can't be a Schedule K.
And what's Schedule K?
It's taking money at the end of the year out of the profits.
Okay.
So that doesn't qualify for PPP forgiveness.
Okay.
And
so the PPP side is for those that were affected. It's what does PPP stand for again?
Paycheck Protection Program.
Right.
To keep employees on the payroll rather than have them collect unemployment.
Okay.
And this way you also have them at the end of the pandemic.
To be able to resume business as normal.
Correct.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of businesses that the employees went on unemployment, and then they found other positions with other companies, so you're not getting them back.
So how does somebody, for the PPP side of this, what's the first step they should take?
They have to contact the lender, first of all, and it has to be forgiven by the lender through the SBA regulations.
Okay. So you have to reach out to the bank you actually got the lending from.
Correct.
Okay. That's interesting. Is there what you were talking about, the status of forgiveness and all of this? How does somebody figure out if maybe they've been partially forgiven or not forgiven, or like how does somebody figure out their status?
The bank would let them know.
Okay.
How much is if the full amount is being forgiven or if part of it is.
Okay. That's great. Is this an opportunity where you can get the full, are there criteria for getting the full PPP forgiven, or is it a determination?
It would be based on the employees that you had and what you have as backup, which in most cases would be canceled paychecks.
Okay, that's good to know. Is there anything else about the PPP? Like, is there a certain time frame that you must get this done by?
Right now, it looks like it's by March 6th.
Okay. So as of today, and we're recording this on the 21st of February, March, which date?
I think it was March 6th.
March 6th? Yeah, I think that sounds right. 6th or 7th, something like that. It's somewhere in the notes.
By now, all of the clients that I had for disaster recovery, they've all been either forgiven or they didn't qualify for forgiveness.
But the determination has been made.
It's been made.
So what's the time frame for that turnaround? If somebody reaches out to their local SBDC for assistance with this, if you're in the Long Island area, you can reach out to us directly. So somebody that comes to you from the time that they make that first call to inquire about this to the time when that decision is made, what are you seeing for an average?
I don't have any time frames. It depends on how busy they are and if they've got all their backup when they speak to their lender.
Got it. So if once somebody has all of their paperwork and their ducks in a row, so to speak, and they go to engage with the bank, is it relative?
It had been historically maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
And they were forgiven.
That's not
That's
That's
not bad
kind
at
of
all.
insanely fast.
Again, that was in the beginning. They had a lot more. The banks had more people working on PPP.
Mm.
At this point, I don't believe they'd have as many of their employees.
That makes sense. It's become lesser of a
Right.
priority. It's kind of the
I
time
think-
has come and passed,
Right.
but now there's a surge again because of this announcement,
Right.
which is why we're doing this so that if anyone's out there and they're not aware of it, we want to make sure that they know that this is happening.
Yeah. All of the questions that I've gotten so far were concerning the economic injury disaster loan or the EIDL.
And that's the second part of this announcement is the
Right.
EIDL.
Right. And again, we don't make that determination because we're not the SBA, and we don't even have access to their loans or any of their
It's
information.
an important distinction for people that the SBDC is not the SBA.
Correct.
We're a technical research arm of the SBA, but we don't have access to their files and their documents.
Right. So what we do is we'll direct them to the SBA. And what I recommend is that they make a phone call. In most cases, they're going to have to leave a message for a callback.
Okay.
I can't give a time frame for a callback. However, anybody that has reached out to them through email got a response within 48 hours.
Wow. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
And so explain the whole EIDL side of this then. So what's the difference? What is EIDL and who does it apply for?
Okay. Any of the businesses that took an EIDL loan, it's a 30-year loan at 3% interest. And again, a lot of businesses are still suffering a hardship. So they can apply to the SBA. The SBA will make that decision, and they can lower their payments depending on the amount of the loan down to maybe $25 a month
That's
for a
what I was thinking.
6-month period. Now, the interest will still accrue, but it is a small percentage.
So have you seen any sort of who's winning and losing? Like, have you been able to pick up on any sort of details of the people that apply, that are eligible, or those that are getting turned down? Is there a turn down rate, or how does that work?
I haven't heard from anybody that's gotten turned down on lowering their payment for the 6-month period.
That's promising.
And according to the press release, it's $100,000 or lower. However, if a business is suffering a hardship, the SBA still has to be paid. And in most cases, they will make arrangements with you.
Okay.
Again, they want to be paid. You don't want to go into default and have it go to the Treasury Department.
That's exactly what I was going to ask next is if you don't follow through on this, if you're struggling and you don't go and apply for these allowances that the SBA is offering for this very brief period of time, what does happen?
Well, the loan will be turned over to the Treasury Department, which in effect is the collection agency
Right.
for the SBA.
Wow.
And I've spoken to a couple of clients that had defaulted, was turned over to the Treasury. They're working with them now to see what they can do, but they also tacked on a very high percentage of interest.
Wow. So those are the risks that you're running if it goes to
Right.
Treasury. So if
Right.
you're struggling, and that would happen if you're not making your payments on your EIDL loan.
Correct.
And there's no forgiveness on EIDL loans.
Not
you
at
have
all.
to make it. You have to pay it back.
It has to be paid back.
Okay.
And from what I know also is even if you close your business, you're still responsible for that loan.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So you're not off the hook.
I did have one
It's
client.
like student loan debts.
Yeah, who was disputing what I was saying to him. You know, if I close my business, my accountant says I'm not responsible. I said, well, I don't make that decision. You have to speak to the SBA. And I don't know of any business that's been forgiven for EIDL or take a lower amount to pay off the loan. If it's $80,000, you're paying back $80,000 plus the interest.
So even if they change the payment schedule, you get the 6-month relief. It lowers down to as low as $25 a month. It's just going to extend the time of the loan, but it makes it more practical for you to be able to get back on your feet, and
Right.
and it has that ramp up where so you're not just going 6 months and then the full spigot's turned back on
Right.
where they're expecting everything.
And also, from what I understand, is at the end of the 30-year period, you might have a balloon payment.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Those
But
are
again, those are questions that you have to ask the SBA, and they'll tell you, and they'll tell you what about what it's going to what that payment's going to be.
Have you seen, or do you have any insight on, like, I know that balloon payments for commercial real estate, like, that's common. You get like a 10-year loan, you pay it for the 10 years, but it's not built to be paid off in 10 years.
Right.
You pay it at a relatively low rate. And then at the end, you have the balloon payment where you have to pay the rest of the loan off in full.
Right.
And so the typical practice there is you refinance. So are you familiar with any cases where somebody would be able to get an external loan to
Well,
cover that balloon payment to almost refinance their...
It's only been 3 years,
Mm.
and in 30 years, I don't think I'm going to be here. But I think that the balloon payment would only be for the amount of hardship cases that you may have over the 30-year period where you're getting lower payments, and the part of the payment that you're not making will be tacked on at the end.
Got it. That makes sense. Is there anything else that people should know about this SBA press release or the PPP or the EIDL that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, they should act on it sooner rather than later. And as I said, I think after March 6th, they don't have any plans as of now to extend that date. Again, won't know until then.
We're less than a month out, people.
So I actually want to give an update on that time frame because I'm reading the press release right now.
Mm-hmm.
So this was published on January 5th. So this says that the Goodwill exception period started on January 1st and it's lasting through March 3rd.
Oh, March 3rd.
So that was on January 5th that was published. So I just want to put that. I mean,
Perfect.
Of course there could be an extension, but as of right now, that was the date, was March 3rd.
Don't count. I think Mike's point is don't count on the fact that there will be one. March 3rd is very short. We're going to have to get a very fast turnaround on getting this out to everyone because time is of the essence.
You don't want to wait till March 2nd to apply. That's for sure.
100%. 100%. Yeah, no one, I don't know if there's a grandfather clause that's like if you're in at the last second, or if it's like what time on March 3rd
exactly.
Is it cut off? Is it 5 p.m.? Is it 1 a.m.? Like who knows? So the bottom line is if after listening to this, if you're still confused, then reach out to your SBDC and we can help guide you along. Otherwise, I mean, you reach out to the SBA, reach out to your lenders and start having these conversations.